Whether you're interested in no-till, no-kill or pasture cropping, Ryan disc seeders are becoming the most versatile and recognisable workhorse in the Australian paddock and indeed around the world. And the story behind these discs is even more fascinating. Let's go and meet the owner of Ryan No-Till. Paul, how are you going, mate?
Yeah, good to meet you, Tim. Yeah.
Fantastic to meet you too. Now, you are the man behind Ryan No-Till. It's a family business. It was started by your father. It's run by you. Your son works in it. Your wife works in it. Everyone works in it.
Yeah. Yes.
And you're selling pretty special disc seeders.
Yeah, we're selling these discs and all around the world, and mainly our press wheel as well. So yeah, we're pretty happy with our system. It's pretty unique, and it's patented, and yeah, we're pretty happy.
And you're making them in an old sheep shed, mate.
Well, yeah, it's converted shed, to suit our needs, so it works out well.
Well, I'm keen to find out more about the story, not only to find out how these double disc seeder units work and some of the amazing innovation behind them, but also the story behind these disc seeders, because as usual, there's more than meets the eye, isn't there?
Well, there is, and it's a whole package.
So this is where the magic happens, Paul.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Quite fitting, mate, that we're in fact, an old shed that used to have shedded sheep in it.
Yes.
A wool factory.
Yeah, we went for a number of years.
So we've gone from sheep to cropping to no-till cropping.
Yeah.
And all the magic is down here. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look, righto.
So the backbone of your business, Paul, started in 1983 with designing these disc legs to convert tine seeders across to disc seeders. Now, people that know their history in Victoria will know 1983 was a particularly significant year for cropping, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I mean, half of the rumour mallee ended up in the Burke Street in Melbourne, yeah.
The famous dust storms of 1983 that blocked out the sun for a couple of days.
Yeah, and that's when my dad got the idea in '83 to stubble for stubble retention, and developed a single disc at that time. But the agronomy wasn't caught up with how to handle disc seeding with the notes, so hence I developed a double disc.
Okay.
20 years later.
So 1983. You start developing a single disc seeder.
Yes.
And the idea was actually taken on by International Harvester, wasn't it?
Yeah, International Harvester in Geelong, yep. And so we went from the original Ryan colours of green and yellow to red and white and black.
Right.
And they made a few machines, sent a couple to the States. And but they collapsed in '86.
And nearly took you with them.
Yeah, best way to say it. Yeah.
It was the end of the family farm, wasn't it?
It was the end of our family farm. Yeah, we sold that up. It was sold up in '93. Yeah.
And so disc seeders to you were a little bit of a black box you didn't want to go back into, were they?
Yeah, they were.
It was a sore point.
It was a very sore point. But when I realised I could make the disc fit to the same height as a tine and people only needed to buy a couple to try, I thought there's some merit in that, and there was enough soil throw to cover the pre-emergence, where a single disc didn't do that. So that's what gave us, and better penetration. These are only 18-inch discs, and the original single discs, they were 30-inch.
So let's unpack that a little bit. You got a call from a farmer in Wagga Wagga.
Yes.
Which spurred you on to pulling these discs back out from the cupboard.
Took a lot of pulling out.
You're a bit resistant, let's just say, to do that. But you came up with your double disc design for this farmer because he still wanted to be able to put his pre-emergence and so on in the ground, and he wanted the coverage.
Yeah, and he wanted to keep his stubble.
Yep.
And without getting blocked up, especially on narrow spacings. He didn't want to be dragging trash around.
So we're more than 10 years after the dust storm now, and finally the idea is starting to take off. And you realised that it's difficult to get people to adopt new technology and new ideas if the outlay's too high. So you came up with a design that allowed a direct swap out with tines, and you kept all the heights exactly right.
That's right. I went out and measured up everyone, whether it was a Fixie-Core, Morris, Borgo, whatever. Jasons, shearers.
You've got a few adapters out there for a few different types of seeders, haven't you?
Oh yeah, well, I've got 40 different models. Even we got big in the pasture now, and so we got Duncan and Agro drill, and the shearer drills are all. We got models to suit them as well. We've got here, for example, we've got gyral, we've got shearer, we've got shearer trash workers, we've got simplicity, we've got shearer trash workers again. We've also got flexi coils and Morris adapters, Borgo adapters, Gason, for Gason, 3 different models of Gasons. So you've got everyone covered. I said Borgo, Morris.
So the secret to your success with getting farmers to adopt to this is they only had to buy 1 or 2, swap out 1 or 2 sets of tines.
Yep.
They could run their machine and see if it worked, and it did.
Yeah, it did. That's right. Yeah. And I got a little 6-foot demo machine which people can sit on and watch them work too. So get up and close.
So moving away from the legs, mate, this is the complete setup, and this is what it looks like when it's mounted. And you've got a double disc seeder. What are the big advantages of a double disc seeder, mate?
Well, it throws. It avoids any smearing. The beauty of ours is a lot of other double discs are just side by side, whereas ours has got 1.25 inches forward of the plane. And it stirs the far up.
So your serrations are coming 1.25 inches forward of the plain disc that's behind here.
Yeah, it acts like a coulter, so you don't need a coulter.
Yeah, right. And you're getting throw from these discs?
Yeah, it'll come out, it'll like a point, and it'll cover your pre-emerge and pre-ems. Yeah, it works very well. A lot of people are a bit hesitant on discs because of no throw, but we're a double disc, our design will throw.
And that's critical for the no-till boys, isn't it? Because they want to cover over their pre-emergence.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, so a lot of blokes want that and don't want to go to a single disc with a no-throw. And there's a different lot of chemicals again. But this is a Ryan setup.
So this is all yours?
This is totally a Ryan leg and a Ryan concept. Yeah, it's a shorter model which suits a Duncan, but anyway, the Ryan ones are slightly about 3 inches longer. But it's also got another thing we can double shoot. We can do deep banding or throw small seeds out with the rear boot.
Okay.
So not many discs can offer a double shoot system.
And these go fast and don't use much fuel.
Correct. Yeah, look, on average a bloke will do an extra 50% quicker. So if he's normally doing 8 k's with a point, he'll do 12 k's with a disc, and it's half the fuel. It's time saving.
12 k's of seeding an hour.
Oh yeah, easy. You can go quicker if they want to, but yeah, look, that's the beauty of it. Now, as I said, half the fuel, and you're going half as fast. So it's a lot of savings in there.
And that extra speed puts a lot of wear and tear, I would imagine, on the hub design. You've actually gone through a few different hub designs over time.
Yeah, we.
A few blokes getting distracted on their phones, maybe.
It could have been, but no, definitely. It was our intuition that we had to develop a better hub system. Hence, we've gone from a little 15mm axle to we went to a 19mm, then we went to 22, then we went to 30 12 years ago, and here's the size of the axle now, with Timken tapered bearings, and it works very well. They hold up and they're strong. Yeah.
Now you've actually got, here's one we prepared earlier, a transparent cutaway of this. I'll just get you to take everyone through what the basic design features are and what your innovations are, mate.
Well, this cutaway should make things a bit easier for you guys to understand. Here's the axle system in here with the 2 Timken tapered bearings, and you can see the size of it and the strength. One of our big secrets is the front sewing boot. A lot of discs of boots are at the back where the mud can come up and plug up. Whereas this way, you get a better seed placement and no risk of blocking. So that's another big advantage. And you've got tungsten tapered, tungsten scrapers at the back here. And you can see them down here on the inside. So they're tungsten tipped. And there's an option where you can put an outside scraper on. That's very rare though. We've done nearly 20,000 rows, and we've probably only sold about 2 sets of these in that time, but they're available if need be. But the whole strength, the leg strength, to handle the robust conditions that we can offer in Australia. Yeah, that takes us through pretty well what we do, and you can see how the serrated disc is forward of the plain disc in this here. So he's out cutting first. It's about 4 o'clock position, and so he's he's like a serrated knife. He's doing all the cutting. Then it just cuts and tears the trash. So whereas a single disc relies on a lot of weight, and there's a lot of dollars involved in a single disc system, as people would know. So where this keeps a pretty economical conversion to an air seeder or a combine drill. Everybody queries about wear and tear on a disc system. The beauty of ours is we got a 7 by 1 inch pivot point here, and that's all the wear. Anything that's going to wears in there, but we've been successful, and it doesn't wear out. The other point is that it'll fit any size frame. It's 4x4, 4x3, 3x3. We even did one this year for a 6x6 frame. So we've got everyone pretty well covered in our design, and the strength is in this pivot point. That's the secret to it all, because that's the only really great moving point in the whole system. In the hub, there's only 2 greasing points, one each side, and we suggest only have to do that once a year or every 100, 200 hours. Scraper system is very unique to us and into the marketplace. We've got tungsten, as I said, tungsten's carbide on the cutting edge. We've done it this week. We've developed it to handle. We put a couple of holes in here to handle liquid fertiliser. Blokes have already been using it and cable tying it onto our existing thing. So it handles liquid fertiliser. It carries a small seeds tube at the back, or a deep banding tube at the back. So it's multi-purpose, the system. So we've got everyone covered.
Well, Paul, thank you very much for a fascinating day, mate. Not only looking at the technology behind your disc seeders, but also the amazing story on a personal level of your family innovating for so long in Victoria and developing such amazing machinery. To do this is what it's all about, isn't it? This fantastic crop behind us was put in by one of your disc seeders.
Yeah, it was actually our disc fitted onto a Gason bar, and you have a look at the crop, it's magnificent. And,
it is.
Yeah, no, we were pretty proud of what we do.
You're feeding people and you're minimising damage to the environment, you're restoring ground as you go.
Yeah, all of the above, yeah. And
it all came out of your dad's vision in 1983 when he saw those dust storms. He got some awards for this too.
Yeah, he won a lot of Inventors Awards at Field Days in Australia, then he went on to win the Industrial and Ag Invention Award in the States. That was after he won the Australian Inventors Award. So then it went on to, then he got a Queen's Medal for his innovations to agriculture.
And very well deserved, mate. And I'm so pleased to see a proud family continuing on that tradition.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Thank you. Ta, mate.
Hope you keep innovating and inventing for years to come.
Thanks, mate.
Guys, if you like these kind of stories and you like finding out about the fascinating stories behind Inventions, make sure you hit the little subscribe button down there, give it a thumbs up. There's channel memberships now as well. Subscribing doesn't cost anything, and it helps support the channel's mission of bringing these sort of stories to the world. I'll see you next week with something else, but I don't know what it is yet.